Because remember Nate Anderson walked in with last year? I can't remember who he was with, but that one was funny.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Nevada Community School District Board of Education meeting of May 6, 2024. I would start the meeting off by calling it to order and seek approval of the agenda as placed before us tonight.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
I said aye.
Didn't hear you. Public comment, Brian?
None.
Moving on. Information. We have a speaker tonight, and we'd like to welcome you up, and please, are you going to sit there, or how are you going to do that?
Where do you want me to go?
Well,
You can just go from the podium.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna bring my PowerPoint because it has notes on it, so.
Microphone is the green light up there.
Okay,
Being videoed and mic, so,
perfect.
all right. Welcome.
Thank you. So I am here today to talk to you guys about tobacco and vaping, and what the current trends are for youth and how we can mitigate this issue. So, go to the next slide. My name's Ashley. I work for Community and Family Resources. Our company is mostly focused on treatment, but we have a prevention side of things, which is my job. So I go out and try to prevent substance use and abuse from becoming an issue. So the first thing that we really need to talk about is what is an e-cigarette. So an e-cigarette is a battery-powered device. It creates, or it has inside of it nicotine, flavorings, lots of other harsh chemicals that are inhaled directly into the lungs. They're commonly called vaping, e-cigs, Juul, a lot of new names that the kids come up with almost every day. One of the biggest misconceptions is that a e-cigarette creates just a harmless water vapor, but that is not true. It actually creates an aerosol that contains a lot of harmful chemicals. Almost all e-cigarettes contain nicotine. Even if they say and claim that they are nicotine free, almost 99% of the e-cigarettes have nicotine in them. So obviously this is terrible for our youth because that nicotine and the addiction that it causes is harmful to their brain, which is not developed yet. So this really impacts their learning, as well as their attention span and their desire to do other things. It's also very dangerous for kids because it is a starter drug for other more harmful substances. Next slide. E-cigarettes come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. Obviously this is just a random photo, but we've seen a lot of new and unique products. So we have seen things like watches and pens that actually write but also have a vape on the end of them, backpacks, hoodie strings. They're getting very creative in the fact that they're trying to hide these things. And so this is definitely being marketed toward youth who are trying to hide it. They're not being marketed towards adults where it's legal for us to have. But they look like everyday items, so they're able to be hidden in plain sight. So I talked about there's nicotine in almost all vapes, but there's also a lot of other very harmful chemicals. So they have cancer-causing chemicals, these heavy metals, because the device is heating up this liquid. So as the user inhales the liquid, they're also getting these heavy metals that are coming from the device. They're getting these ultrafine particles that stay in their lungs, they don't come back out. And then heating the chemicals actually increases the concentration of those chemicals. So we found that labels are not very accurate because they're not being regulated by the FDA. So that can make it definitely a lot more harmful for the consumers because they just don't know what they're consuming. The flavoring, the diacetyl, was actually a flavoring that was put into popcorn until about the 1970s. They took it out of popcorn because it was killing the workers that were there. That's where you get the term popcorn lung. So they took it out of popcorn because the workers were dying, but now we're putting it into vapes that are meant to be inhaled. So this is definitely something that we've seen a lot of damage from. So this is really what the biggest issue we're seeing right now is that Big Tobacco is marketing towards our youth. So they're going to all stops to make sure that tobacco and nicotine is getting put into the hands of our youth. The ultimate goal is to get minors addicted because that's how they create customers. They are working hard to try to convince youth that vapes are not that bad. And that is something that they've been doing forever, right? We've always known that they want to addict us. They want to make sure that they have a customer for life. Right now, companies are capitalizing on gaps in legislation. So they're giving us kid-friendly flavors. You can see here like vanilla, gummy bears, raspberry, cotton candy. And 43% of youth who use e-cigarettes admitted that they tried a device because of the flavors. And now they thought it sounded like it tasted good, but now they're saddled with potentially a lifetime of addiction. So like I said earlier, Like I said earlier, they are, they're marketing towards our kids, so they're updating their product designs to look like those things that are less like cigarettes and more like a toy. One of the things that is just baffling to me is in an effort to eliminate the stigma that vape companies have gotten lately, they recently offered college scholarships to asking high school students to write essays on why vaping is not as bad as smoking. So they're essentially giving money to these students for their education in exchange for them telling them that it's not as bad. Next slide. And it's working, right? So we're seeing that more than 2.1 million youth are currently using e-cigarettes. This is a decline from the previous year, but it's still too many. 1 out of every 22 middle school students reported that they'd used an e-cigarette in the past 30 days, and 1 out of 10 high school students reported that they'd used one in the past 30 days. So in 2023, more than 6 of every 100 students and about 1 out of every 8 high school students reported a current use of tobacco product. Next slide. So with all that information, we know that we need to do something, but the question is, what do we do? We know that the youth are addicted to this product. They don't necessarily want to use it anymore, but they don't know how to stop. So punitive punishments are not reasonable in this scenario. We need to put in a strong, comprehensive tobacco and nicotine-free policy, and it needs to be enforced. Schools should offer on-site help to students or connect them to resources to support them from breaking their addiction. So that just looks like education for the administrators and the staff to know all of the different types of e-cigarettes that are on the market, as well as education on how to promote quitting for them. Next slide. So there is a model policy done by the Public Health Law Center, and the policy actually provides a definition of a commercial tobacco product, which includes both current and future tobacco products, so that there's no loopholes later on down the road. But what a model policy should look like is it should prohibit all tobacco and nicotine products on campus and at off-campus school-sponsored events. It should also prohibit schools from accepting any donations or curriculum from a tobacco-related industry, as well as obviously any promotion of tobacco products. But most importantly, it should include effective enforcement options for student violations that do not include suspension or expulsion. Next slide. So, and this is really the reason why. So they don't work, and they're detrimental for the student's well-being and the school's well-being. So this is a graph of student test scores as related to the number of absences in the month prior to the exam. So as you can see, there's a direct correlation between the time spent out of school and their exam scores. So these don't just affect the students, but they affect the school as well. Next slide. So research has shown that those punitive punishments do not work when the students are addicted to the product. So instead, we highly recommend confiscation of the product, talking with school staff about the use in the school policy, and then the students' participation in a tobacco education program, as well as information about tobacco cessation programs. These practices do not isolate the students or remove them from the environment, the learning environment. Next slide. So this is an option that we have here in Iowa. It's completely free for the students. It's called My Life, My Quit, and it's done through Iowa Health and Human Services. So basically what the students would get is they would enroll in this program. They get 5 free coaching sessions. They create a quit plan and work with their coach to break the addiction of tobacco. After they have finished all of their sessions, they get a watermarked certificate in the mail that they can bring into the school. So the students are able to prove that they finished the program, they're able to work through the program, and then prove that they've done it. So it usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks to finish, but if the student is working the program and does not finish in that allotted time, they can ask that their quit coach sends an email so that the school staff is aware that they are participating and they have an anticipated finish date. So this is just an alternative to suspension that we are trying to talk with school boards and talk with schools about bringing in as an alternative to taking the kiddos out of school and leaving the environment for an addiction that they maybe just don't know how to handle. This gives them an opportunity to be able to quit using this nicotine to get their freedom back and to be able to go back to school without feeling like they're isolated. Next slide. So if you guys have any questions, I've actually helped a student at Nevada Middle School who enrolled into the program. And so it's always something that we're available to be help with and to guide with. And it's something that we are very passionate about at CFR, and we would love to work with you guys too, if you have any questions moving forward.
I have a question. If a student goes through the program and completes it, is there any follow-up down the road?
I don't believe there is at this time. They can always reach back out to their quit coach. So it's basically they can text in or call in at any point. So if they feel the need that they are struggling again, or if it's something that is an issue again, they can always reach back out to their quit coach, but it's not something where they'll reach back out again in 6 months or however long.
How would we make notice to the students if we were doing this?
That's me.
Yeah,
Well, I think it kind of depends. Like, I mean, we've had a pretty standard response. Typically, we don't like broadcast all of our consequence structure or how we respond to certain student incidents. So I'm not sure it would be like a thing that we would say, here's a new thing or a new way that we're responding to it. It might truly just be as we're working through different instances. For example, My Life, My Quit is something that we do offer to students who we have had an issue with vaping. It doesn't necessarily add or lessen any type of consequence to it, but it is an offer that we make to kids. So if you're like, how would we make them aware of it? Like, I think we could make them aware of the program, but I don't necessarily know like if we're going to, or if I would suggest making a blanket statement, here is how we would be addressing things going forward. We would utilize some of these things. I think it would be more of a communication that this would be an opportunity or an option for families should they choose to take it on or be interested in it.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Yes, I couldn't say to what degree this is an issue in our school, middle school, high school. Pretty safe to say it exists.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, sad that it is.
I had no idea on some of the real detrimental, you know, ancillary issues that go along with vaping. It's always been held out as being a much cleaner delivery of nicotine or flavoring or whatever, and
Yeah,
this
so
looks out that way.
one of the coalitions that I'm a part of, they are a statewide coalition. And one of the youth was talking to us recently about, she lives in a town on the eastern side of the state, and they have a large trucking company in their town. And the owner of the trucking company said that he would much rather his employees smoke cigarettes than vape because he was having to replace all of the interiors of his trucks because of the vape chemicals that were on them. So it was making the interiors completely disintegrate, and so they were having to replace the interior of their trucks. So the fact that somebody would say that they'd much rather someone smoke cigarettes in their truck than vape says a lot about what it's doing to our bodies.
I was listening to WHO radio on the way into this meeting, and the industry had said that there was a bill sitting on Governor Reynolds' desk that would outlaw 99% of the retail of these products. Is it safe to assume you support that?
Yes, definitely. I do know that there's already laws in place, right? There with the whole Juul, when Juul went down in flames, right? They put in a lot of laws and regulations for these companies, but they've found ways around them, unfortunately. So it is currently illegal for anybody to have vape oil with us flavoring if they have to enter it, put it into the vape themselves. So if they have to load the vapes themselves, it cannot be flavored. So the companies just went around that and said, oh, okay, well, we'll just make them disposable. So now nobody needs to load the vapes, but they're still flavored. So they definitely are sneaky and they find their way around whatever legislation there is. But they're definitely, I mean, I just think that they'll keep going until we finally figure out how to make our kids realize that they shouldn't start.
You guys it's your school, you can talk about it.
Guess we're not really in that crowd, so we don't have a ton to say about it. I mean, I know that it happens from time to time, but yeah. Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like, I mean, I know that it happens. I know that people get in trouble for it, and it's noticeable when people are gone from school, but don't necessarily know all the reasons for it, and like, I know very, very little about it, just because it's not something.
Yeah. Thank you for starting the conversation with us.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
That brings us to our action agenda. Mrs. Burling is sharing her evening with us, 5.1, the Resource Center Handbook, and the edits for the 24-25. Would you please step up to the mic?
Yep.
Dr. Gray had sent you, I'm assuming, the changes that we had, so I'm just going to highlight a few of them. Our biggest changes right now would be our rates and our staffing. When we no longer receive the city funding, no surprise there, we knew that was going to happen at some point. Our budget needs to change, because that was about $20,000 out of our budget that we no longer have. Okay, it was great, we just don't have it anymore. So, being responsible for our budget, we knew we would have to increase our rates at some point without scaring our families away. So I presented to our board, the NCRC board, and we presented two plans and our board chose the middle row. So the most our rates would go up when we start with our summer, if you're with us full day, full rate, $60 more a month. That's not a whole lot if you think about that for all day care, but it does affect some of our families thinking we've got to come up with 60 more bucks a month. And it's not for everyone, it just depends on what type of program that they're in, which would carry over to our after-school program, before-school program, wraparound program for the fall as well. So I knew that we were waiting for our calendar to come out, but I also needed to let our families know what was coming for the summer. So I said, pending board approval, these are the rates that it's going to be coming your way for the summer. And I didn't hear anything that said there were no complaints. They certainly knew that this was going to happen at some point, and they do know the cost of care. Because in order to keep our program going, we have to have our staff at least comparable to our paras over at the school. So we have graciously increased some of those salaries as well to get people to come to us and to stay with us. That being said, we have had to look at our program very differently with staffing right now because we are no longer receiving college students from ISU like we have in the past. That would go, we'd have a crew, they graduate, they would pass it on to their friends, they graduate. We put it out to the job board, but that just isn't the case. So we had to be proactive, think differently, and move forward. So that's when I had to change my way of thinking and wanting just 18-year-olds to join our team when it is legal for 16-year-olds to be with us. So we changed our policy, and now we have, you have to at least be 16 and working towards your high school diploma. Okay, that is set, and that is part of the change that we also see in our handbook. That has been remarkable. The reason it's been remarkable because like no other that I know of any other district, because of our child development class that comes to us, we can actually see these students who are 16, 17, some are 18. We can actually see how they work with the children, what they are capable of, and if they would fit in our program if they so chose to have a job. That has been remarkable, and we have hired 5 out of that program, which has been great. Which has been so wonderful to see is that they have asked if they could be a part of our program. They want to work here. It's a stepping stone for them. Some don't really know what they want to do next, other than they think teaching. But again, we're a place that they can learn from our kids, and our kids can learn from them. What I love about the high school students that are with us right now is that they are presenting to our kids perhaps something down the road when they get to high school, what they might like to do. I'm in this sport. You know, I do this at school. I take this class. You might like that. We don't have anybody in band though yet, and I'm working on that one. But we do have somebody that has brought some real music talents and brings in a speaker, an amp. And so you might hear us going down the street as we are singing to the song YMCA. Oh yeah, we all do it. And we take attendance. We're going down the street at the after-school program, going back to our building. Only one neighbor has come out of their house to hear us coming down the street to simply sing with us or to dance. So again, we're doing something that is outside of our box that the kids absolutely love. And when they're not there, they want to know why they weren't there. And they will say, I had a test, or I had to go to my second job, or whatever it is. So they're very real with our kids, very honest, and they're missed. So they already built that relationship, which has been really, really great. So again, doors have opened, job opportunities, and I do have to hire more staff, but they're actually working less because I have to work around sports, and I have to work around, if there's a test or something, but that's something in this job opportunity that we're willing to do, so their education is priority. but they also get the job opportunity and experience, if that makes sense. So again, in the changes in here, it said they have to be at least 16 now. That's a change in there, which is great. Our rates have gone up, but not substantially. We still kept families. And so those are the main things right now that I just wanted to share with you. We remain full through summer of 2025. So we have a waiting list, and right now I am trying to figure out how we will get 12 more children in our after-school program. I am comfortable with about 40 at the same time, but we have upped it to over 50 because they were already in our program. They were just switching things around. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that safely without creating chaos after school as well. We'll figure it out. Another thing to keep in mind too is we have children that are entering our district. There is a real need for childcare. And I get calls all the time, can you take our child? I have a job, but I don't have daycare. I have a job to come into Nevada, but I need daycare. Well, we don't take younger than the 4-year-olds, so we try to collaborate with the other child cares in town to say, do you have openings? How can we get this family here? But also, in order for them to work, they have to have care for their child. So we do try to work together, and how that can happen so we can get people into Nevada. So again, it's all about collaboration, never about competition. That being said, rates, staff, we're figuring it out as we go. We have some security, not issues, but we have security, actually, new ways of thinking as you enter our building. What is a challenge right now is that we can't get our hardware and our software to coordinate. So eventually, they will have to ring a buzzer to get into our building. I will have it on my phone, Casey will have it on her phone, and then we'll have an iPad with the staff, and Head Start will have an iPad. So we'll actually see a person to come in, and then we'll ring it. Head Start will let their people in, we'll let our people in. It will be a challenge, it will be a learning curve. But again, we'll make it work. It is that one extra sense of security for our families to know we are trying to be a little more secure in our building because we have so many people coming in and out. Have people entered that building that shouldn't be there? Yes. Have we escorted them out? Yes. But I've never felt threatened, and I've always had support. And again, it's worked. We have cameras, and so we now have 9 security cameras, which has been wonderful as well. And the one that's out, our new one out in the parking lot, will actually show what's going on out there as well. So that, again, that's been great. And so we're just really grateful that the district is helping us and putting that extra layer of security. Our building is old.
Yeah.
Our building is unique, but I love our building, and it works because of where we are in this community, its location. And we use every room. We use every room. Head Start is down there, and that's a fantastic program as well. So again, we coordinate our security and our way of doing things with them as well. So that has been great. That is good. Our summer program is approaching, and the only thing, what I put in here for you so you could actually see some of the things that we'll be doing with that is I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm still not comfortable taking our kids as a huge group out to like the Science Center and whatnot. Again, it's more for security for me. So we have chosen a different way, and we are doing more at home. And when we do go out, people are open specifically for us. And as I've said before, when we go to the movies, I am not watching the movie. I'm watching the exits. I'm watching when that child leaves, make sure a staff goes with to go to the bathroom. That is necessary, and I have to drill that into my staff every time. I want you to be trusting. I want you to be with those children in a way like no other, because you are responsible for them in the absence of their parents. So we try to plan things where they'll still have great experiences, but again, more where we have a little more control over what's happening around them. We are going to go back to the Threshold Learning Center to do some teamwork, which will be wonderful for both staff and children to do that. And Camelot Theater reached out to us and said, would you come to us? We're opening up to childcare in town. Would you come to us? Yeah, we can walk to that. And that's been great as well. We'll have the Insect Zoo back with us, and then of course bowling twice this summer to use what's here in the community. Just for the children to be able to say, I went here, I went there, and then they can tell their parents what the bowling alley is like or what the Camelot Theater can offer as well. So they can all be a part of, again, the Nevada community. And of course, we have our community helpers with our police and our fire department come and talk to the kids. So if they know those people are safe people, those people are not there just to take away the bad guys, but they're also just to help to learn about summer safety and about sunscreen and about how you should ride your bike safely and what clothes to wear so you don't get overheated, in the summer. And they just make it fun for our kids. And if they see them in the streets, they can wave to them. That's why it's community-based. That's why it's Nevada Community Resource Center, because that's who we are. And I would never change that. This center is, like I say, very unique. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes there, just to make sure that we are reaching every family that needs help, whether they are ours or not. When they call, I try to refer them to different places, not because it's a place where I think this is what you should do. I just simply say, this is what is out there. You might just want to make a phone call, and maybe they might have an opening, or this might be a direction that you might want to go. So I've had lots of great conversations with people from the state of Nevada because they thought that the Angel Tree program was theirs, and they said, no, this is Nevada. And then they learned all about our Angel Tree program, and they were going to start one up. So there you go. Yeah, it's so great. Anyways, I do immerse myself, and so does Casey with our children. I put myself as part of the ratio sometimes, because here's my new quote. Actually, it's not mine. It's actually Pope Francis's, and you can quote him on this. If you're going to be a good shepherd, you have to smell like the sheep. So that's why I put myself with them, so that the kids know I know who they are, what they're doing, and just encourage them every day to be kind, safe, and respectful. So if I smell like the sheep, I've been with the kids, and that's a good thing. So anyways, I've rambled, but because I'm very proud of this program, not because I'm the director, but because my team does a phenomenal job, and there's always room for growth. So, yeah.
So taking on these 5 students, does that help your ratios as far as taking on additional children?
That's a great question, Marty, but because I have to piece it, they're not all there at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's like, and taking more children is not always the answer, because then again, it becomes chaos. The more children you have, the more behaviors you have, then you have staff that perhaps might call in sick, and then you're stuck again. And then we're just trying to herd instead of actually have a program that's quality. So we have these staff members, but again, some might work these hours, some might work these hours, because again, we're working around sports and whatnot. It's helped that we have options. That's what's been great. So I don't always have to be. I am on the playground. I don't have to be. I choose to be. So our ratios are always above what they should be. 1 to 12 if you have a 4-year-old amongst you. 1 to 15 if you don't. And if you're away from the building, then you have to have 3 with the 1 to 15 staff members. It changes. It's a DHS thing, but I don't think it would ever be safe to have 1 to 15 alone in case something should happen to one child. You always need somebody else there to help out, to be available. Yeah, so we're working on it. It will give us more options for next year when We are gonna figure out how to put these extra 12 children into the after-school program. And then we're just gonna have to rethink the building and how to separate into 2 different rooms like we do now. I'm just gonna have to do it more often. Yeah, it's just a puzzle, and we're always thinking about the next program. So we're just ending one, but you're always like a program ahead because you have to be. You have to be ready.
So when you say some of these parents are coming from out of town, where are they coming from?
I don't know, and I should have asked that. I would say, welcome to Nevada. And I say, what brings you to Nevada, is what I usually say. And they say, you know, got a job at El Maco, or I can't remember the other ones. One's coming, I'm gonna work at Fairway. But I don't really know where they're coming from, just that I just welcome them here. Yeah, it's usually the little ones that need the help, so, yeah. And then we can't help them there, despite the fact that we're full. We just don't take 2-year-olds. Yeah.
Anybody
So-
else have any questions? Appreciate the update, and you do a good job running that.
I do it.
Mr. B for me.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's good. Okay. You good? So,
We're good.
if we pass this, I need to send my handbooks out tomorrow. I'm just saying. I've got it in red, can I put it in black? And then I can send it off so that because I want to send out the handbook all ready for the fall, so they know of our changes in rates. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Well, moving along. What's the action? Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I get caught up in the actual self.
NCRC handbook for 24 or 25.
No. Appreciate the haste. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have adopted it for you.
Woohoo! Parents will be happy, or maybe not, when they see these rates. I don't know. We'll be good.
Nobody
We'll
complained
still
ahead of
fill the
time.
building.
What's that?
Nobody complained ahead of time, so.
I know. I tried to warn them. Pending board approval. Now it's the real deal. So, all right. Thank you.
So it's always been Grantwood, not Grantwood? Okay. 5.2, Grantwood Woodward Consortium Renewal. Who wants to?
Yeah, this is our annual renewal for the consortium. We've been in it for probably as long as it's existed. It's been a great resource for us, particularly for those students that just reach a point where we can't really serve their needs. So pretty standard. The renewal's pretty standard. The only real change, there will be a little bit of increased cost with some of the new legislation and things that they are changes to the AEA and so forth. They are hiring a special education director there, so consortium schools will have a little additional cost there. But as you may recall, every year we do, well, you approve it and we apply for modified allowable growth for administrative costs for Grantwood and Woodward. So you get that spending authority back. So that's the only real change, is that there'll be a slight uptick in cost for next year.
So could you explain a little bit about that, the table on page 14 in my packet anyway, about the percentages? Just trying to head around that a little bit. So that's percentages that are showing that percent cost for each of the students, as the number of students for each member district. So what do those percentages actually reflect?
Yeah, that's a good question, Tom. We just typically, Brian, maybe you have a better idea, but we typically get billed, and how that breakdown happens, I don't know, amongst all the consortium schools.
Is this a similar breakdown as in years past then? Or has this changed based on?
I don't know that I noticed any changes to
Okay, I guess I've never paid attention
how
to that
districts
before.
will be billed, or what they'll be billed for. There just will be one additional administrative position that they'll be including in the billing.
Okay,
We kind of, with the consortium, we get kind of billed twice in that there's costs for the students, but we have to pick up some of Woodward Ranger's costs for administration, and that's what those percentages there represent, but they're spread to all school districts to participate in the program.
Okay. How many school districts are in this consortium?
It varies from year to year.
Yeah, there's enough, I would venture to say that most of the central Iowa school districts have a part in the consortium, because there just aren't a lot of those resources out there available. That's kind of our option.
Any other questions? Anybody else?
You have on the tip of your tongue, Ryan, approximately what our district's contribution is or cost to belong to this consortium is? Sure, it varies year to year, but
Let's do a quick look at accounting.
Today, how many of our kids went to
Between
Grantwood?
the two, 5.
Excuse me?
We transport 5 right now between the two different schools.
in two different schools.
Yeah, you got Grandwood and then Woodward Day School.
So monthly billing, and it varies depending on the number of students, because the number of students sometimes vary during the year, but one bill that I've seen for December was approximately $9,800, and they bill monthly,
How much was that?
$9,800.
I think we had more at that point too. I think we were transporting quite a few more at that point.
So how many vehicles with 5 students is 2 vehicles?
So our transportation costs and all that, that would be in addition to what you've just,
Yeah, and we charge the transportation costs off to the special ed program. The cost of the consortium is general ed expenses, so we can't charge that off to the special ed program, but we can charge the individual charges for the students off to the special ed program.
Anybody else?
is there any alternative to this program? It's either here or there. Nothing else?
Students that have reached this level of need, there aren't enough facilities and programs like this in our state right now. In terms of day programs, they're just not out there. We need more of them.
It is an action item.
I'll move approval of the Grandwood Woodward Consortium renewal, agreement renewal.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the Grantwood Woodward Consortium renewal for 24-25. Any last questions? Any concerns? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good job. 5.3, fuel tank
So
installation
couple-
bids. Let's see, we got 3.
Yeah, a couple of months ago, we did the bids for the removal. Now we're trying to figure out who we're gonna have put the new tanks in. Mid-Iowa, we use them for all of our, for servicing our pumps and whatnot, so. And they came in at the lowest bid. They do good work. I've never had troubles with them. They've always come out really quick and helped us out whenever we needed it, so I'm sure they'll do good work. I'll just have to coordinate between the two different companies now, between taking them out, because Unified is the people taking them out, and as you can see, their bid was almost twice as much as Mid-Iowa, which was shocking once I heard that one, so. But, and we're gonna increase the tank size of the gasoline to 1,000 from 550 currently, so that should be helpful for us, because there's been times where we ran out of gasoline. Not that we can't get it soon, but it's just never good when you run out.
City pleased with our relationship and
Yeah,
facilities?
haven't had any complaints really. We had to replace our little fob reader, because it was pretty well wore out, but I've been there for 9 years, so to last that long, it's pretty good.
Well,
How long is the tank expected to last?
The outside ones, I think those have a 20 to 25 year expectancy on those. They're dual walls, so. But insurance is gonna be a lot cheaper for us. And if we wanted to put in-ground ones again, we're talking, probably close to 300,000, put new tanks in the ground, plus all the extra insurance and checks and balances that you gotta do these days, so. The exterior tanks will be, or the outside tanks, above ground tanks will be a lot easier to maintain. Well, definitely a lot cheaper. And, instead of getting a van this year, this is money that we'll use. Move some money around instead of buying a van.
seems pretty straightforward. So when they go, what time of the year? I mean, June, flying?
End of June, start of July,
Okay.
right at the turn of the
All right.
financial year.
Well, can't say I know a lot about fuel tanks, so I got no questions.
I move approval of the fuel tank installation bid from Mid-Iowa at $46,285.40.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the fuel tank installation as described, taking the lowest bid. Any other questions for Jason or staff? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5.4, policy review 600. Dr. Gray, this is you.
Yeah, I got all finished up with all the entire 600 policy series. Only a few changes that I'm recommending tonight. 601.3, strike 5.6, multi-age language out of that. We've not had that for a number of years. 603.1, I'm suggesting that we just update with ISB's policy because there have been some changes in legislation, such as the computer science requirement and so forth, since we last looked at this policy series. 603.2, summer school, ISB's language is a little more general than ours, recommending that we take that. For example, they use language such as may offer. Our current policy says shall offer, and that's not always been the case because some summers, this being an example this year, if we don't have staff that are willing to teach summer school, we can't offer summer school. So our policy should reflect that. 604.9, suggesting that you delete that policy. We have not had a homeschool assistance program in a decade. And then 605.6 again is, that is a technology policy. I'm just suggesting that we use ISB's updated policy just because things change over the years, obviously, quickly when it comes to technology.
Devil's advocate would make me ask, 604.9, if we had a family homeschool basis shows up, just like we have, our special ed. And they present to the district, I mean, what do we do?
Say that again, that they need a homeschool assistance program?
Yeah, I mean, just,
We have not had that request. We do have some students that attend other districts.
no,
to
and I
use
get
their
that, but I'm just
homeschool
kind of
assistance
bringing it
program.
home. I'm not talking about the neighborhood. I'm just saying they show up at our doorstep. What do we do?
We don't have the program, so they don't show up on our doorstep.
Okay.
I was a part of the homeschool assistance program, like, cause I was homeschooled in elementary school and middle school. We just went to Ames, so we lived in Nevada.
Right.
And so we just went to Ames, cause there wasn't one offered here. Or, like, there might have been one, or it was like just on the,
We had one
Followed it.
we had ones for years, but that was when we got 0.6 funding for it. And about a decade ago, the legislature changed that to 0.3 funding. And so we went from having a profitable, being able to support the homeschool assistance program to running in the red on our homeschool assistance. So
Yeah.
that's why we dropped it. Some schools, there are still 2 or 3 schools close by that offer homeschool assistance.
Okay.
We do
Yeah.
have a few students, I think, at those schools.
So is the understanding that those other districts are also running in the red and they're just choosing to kind of?
I can't speak to that. I just know that when I came here, we were in the black and then the law changed and we started running in the red. So it really didn't make a lot of sense for us to continue to do that.
there are a lot of homeschool, like, kids that attend the assistance program in Ames, like, it's grown a lot, especially since, like, I've been in it. And, like, there are a lot of kids from Nevada and then other school, districts like Ballard and Gilbert that just choose to go to Ames, just because it's a more established group there rather than other smaller, programs.
Yeah, there's a growing group of local families that are homeschooling too.
Assuming it's still being funded at 0.3,
Yes.
if that works.
Yes. As far as I know, it's still 0.3.
Makes a lot of sense for.
Okay. Yeah. So you are proposing that we just adopt and waive second reading?
Yes.
Question on policy 605.06, internet.
Okay.
That policy in at least a couple places it states the school will monitor students' internet usage.
Yes.
Is that applicable to just school-issued devices or private? Would it also apply to private devices that are using school Wi-Fi?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I use my personal computer on school Wi-Fi, and yeah, it still blocks things using Wi-Fi.
Correct. We have blocks and filters, and if there is, obviously using our email system and things like that, there are blocks and filters that would catch or flag certain activity or language or that kind of thing. But yeah, if you're on our network, you're going through our filter. And so, there are certain sites that, as Talon said, would be blocked.
And it's just random things sometimes too that you wouldn't necessarily expect, but I mean, it makes sense, especially if you're using your school issued accounts. Sometimes even when I'm at home, my phone will be logged into my school Gmail account, and so the other day I was looking on Google Flights for my trips this summer, and it was like, well, you can't access this because it was logged in through my school Gmail account, even though I was at home. So it's all connected through that too.
Yeah, and if you're interested, I'm sure Joe would be happy to come and talk to you more about, on the back end, what we do to monitor and
It does have a Big Brother quality about it. In the sense that, because we platform with our laptops and our servers, and the
It is a-
Gmails.
It is a school resource, so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's understandable. The policy wasn't clear, and I wasn't clear whether it covered only certain devices or all devices, but now that I think about it, I've been sitting here and been blocked
Yeah.
from a website before.
I have to, over lunch or whatever, if I'm trying to do something else and it doesn't want me to go to that. So I'll get off our network and use my phone as a hotspot so that I can get done whatever I want to get done. If our system didn't like something about it, like Taylor said, she tried to Google Flight.
Yeah,
and
Google
wasn't able to
Flights,
do it.
yeah.
So a personal device with, a data plan or a hotspot could access things, apps, sites
I've
that
been able to do that.
we
yeah.
block.
Yes.
There'd be no way to prevent that sort of access.
Right.
Unless it's
If you're using the cloud,
geolocated.
yeah, if you're using the cloud, you're using your own personal plan.
Problem.
We're only responsible and capable of doing that which we provide and we support. So. Really, I think there are workarounds here. As I said earlier, administration is requesting waiver of the second reading so that we would pass all of these in bank tonight.
Move approval of the 600 series that has been put forward in the policy review under 5.4 as presented. And waive the second reading. Thank you.
Second.
Good save. We have a motion and a second to pass the 600 series bullet points as presented tonight with waiver of second reading. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. Consent agenda. Thanks for putting out that little blurb on that follow-up of where we are as a district in relationship to everybody else. That was appreciated. Yes, and for those people keeping score at home, we are have the lowest tax levy, school tax levy in the county. Now, and that's never been the case. It'll have to do. Joe, you see any bills you want to ask about?
No, nothing jumped out at me.
So with all the furniture and whatnot bought over there in the new conference room, is that room done?
Yeah, pretty much. We've been using it.
Good. Good. So this looks like a win on the collective bargaining.
Yeah, it went well. 2.84 total package. 1.2% of that total package was just the health increase, so.
So as a point of information, throwing that $100 into the Schedule B is just raising it on them all.
Yeah. And that's part of that 2.84 total package.
Did they ask for it?
The
or we
cost
offer
of
it?
that. They asked for that, yes. They asked for, I believe it was 300 on it.
Okay. I hate Schedule B. That came about when you got here, wasn't it? Schedule B. Isn't that Shaw did that?
Actually, before I got here.
It just grows and grows.
Refresh my memory on how we do the health insurance. Are we paying 100% of that premium, or does staff contribute anything?
We have 3 plans. We pay the premium for the middle plan for a single, for those positions that are eligible to get that. So we do have some staff that pay in, say perhaps they want family. So the difference between the single and the family, they would be paying themselves.
So is it possible that the out-of-pocket premium for those employees that might choose the higher plan or that might choose a family plan, is that staying the same next year? Or is the district, the new agreement covering all of that? So that, what I'm trying to get at, does the out-of-pocket for any of our staff increase?
Only if they're choosing something above and beyond what we pay for. We pay for the single. So the increased cost, and as our single went up this year, we cover that, but that's also part of their total packages. We're covering that increased cost of your single plan.
What do they do at the state as far as healthcare? How do they compensate you on your healthcare?
Very similar. Yeah, where there's different plans we can choose from.
Right.
State covers the cost of the single plan.
Okay.
If you want a higher plan, such as a family plan, there is some out-of-pocket to the employee.
I guess I didn't notice the overnight request, who's going somewhere. You see that listed?
I think these were potential overnights. They're not for sure.
No.
Just wanted to get it on there in case it was needed.
Yeah, it does. We do get dinged on that if we don't board approve our audits.
It typically just depends on, like, the golf, when the tee time, when they've got to be there.
Sure.
If they've got to be there at 7 a.m., that sometimes causes for an overnight before. But I don't think, I think we've since found out that Atlantic one's probably not going to require an overnight, so. In fact, I've got a message about that, I think, today. Yeah, the tea time for Atlantic isn't till 10, so we're not gonna actually be staying for that one.
All right.
And did I see in there where state was location to be determined?
Yeah, I don't know on that one.
I would not know where state's gonna be.
I think it was in Cedar Falls last year.
It's moved around. I mean, it goes to different golf courses. It's been in Ames before, yeah.
It's gonna be Binker.
Pardon me?
It'll be at Binker.
So
It's in Ames this year?
I think the Iowa High School Athletic Department doesn't want to travel this year, so Ames Golf and Country Club for 1A, Coldwater for 2A, Binker for 3A.
There you go.
So that really doesn't need to be on there, does it? Or does it?
Well, it may or may not be applicable, I guess. Probably not. It's not sounding like as of today it's probably applicable. I've had this for almost since the last board meeting, so I think.
Well, you can ask to have it stricken. You strike it if you want to, make the motion deleting 6.7. Hint. So the lady wrestlers think they're gonna generate $400 to get pies in their face uptown here this weekend.
Yes. I haven't really heard anything about it.
That's a new wrinkle for the program. So. Thunder.
We know who, probably.
The usual suspects.
Seems they have to get on this too.
Do we have copies? I don't know if I forgot to mention that this was a action item.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, striking the travel request for state golf, which is located in Ames this year.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt our consent agenda as presented tonight, last 6.7 for an overnight stay request. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One item before we go to closed session, I had it down for some reason that you two are going to maybe be missing tonight. And so I have a plaque coming for you. I don't physically have it right now, and you're going to be graduating and probably not staying on the board. So I will be getting that to you, and when you leave tonight, feel free to take your nameplate with you, okay? And I will be getting in touch with you, because it's coming. So
Yeah,
I think I
was-
messed up.
I was at the track meet and I just wasn't sure how long it was gonna take, 'cause I didn't know how
Yeah.
many teams were gonna be there, but I got done plenty of time, so.
I got
Yeah.
a little mixed up, so it's coming.
Thank you for this year.
Is this your last meeting?
Yeah. Well, you
Is
you
it?
guys have one the day
The
after
20th,
we graduate.
After
so,
graduation,
Yeah.
I was going to ask that, I didn't know what the expectation was.
right? You're off the hook when you graduate. You're off the hook, so I just kind of dropped the ball on that one, but I will be in touch with you,
Okay.
okay?
Are we gonna give them to them at graduation? Or is
I
it-
would like to give it to them before.
Right.
Oh, yeah. If it's
Yeah, that
Thursday.
might
We'll be here on
might be
Thursday.
possible. There you go.
Well, there you go.
12:30.
Okay,
There you go.
all right. I will talk to our plaque guy, where we're at. That would be.
Joe, I'm on the hook for something, you gotta help me.
Move that up in the queue, please.
Yeah.
Do you want to get on the, do you want me to put you, we'll talk to you there.
Yeah, we'll talk. Right, okay. That's all I needed to interject before you make this next.
Well, why don't we take a break before we go into closed session? And ladies, it has been a great year and I thank you. And I only hope that we have some chance of replacing you guys on a peer basis, but I suspect it'll be tough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate your efforts this year.
Do you want to go to closed session and then take a break? Or do you
No.
want to do that? Okay,
I'm old,
all right.
really.
I just meant if you wanted to get into closed session and then. break
Read
before
us
you-
in and then go.
Read us in and then.
Well,
Take
who's
your
got the paperwork to read us in?
Would like to have it.
I will make a motion.
Number 4.
I move that we hold a closed session as provided in section 21.51E of the open meetings law to discuss whether to conduct a hearing to determine whether to suspend or expel a student.
Second that.
This is your bow out time. This is real deal business and so.
It's a roll call vote.
Yeah, you always do it.
Okay. Macy. Joe.
Aye.
Marty.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Leanne.
We are now in closed session.